Call the White Bear Township Board meeting for April 20th, 2026 to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I have one modification here. We have some guests that are going to be presenting a check for the Wall That Heals. If some of you don't know, White Bear Township has been fortunate enough to host the Wall That Heals. That's the Vietnam Vets Memorial Wall that's coming here in August 4th, I believe. Pat?
What's that?
August 4th?
Yeah, that's when August 5th the event actually begins.
Okay.
Yep.
So what I'd like to do is put under new business A, we're going to discuss the Wall That Heals.
Okay.
And I'm going to move that right up after consent agenda.
Okay.
Do you have anything else, Patrick?
Was there anything else? I thought the board was discussing moving a couple other things to consent, but did that come to fruition or no?
We were thinking that our learned legal would tell us if we could do that.
Oh, they just was it the Northwest?
Are you?
Northwest.
They just want to move the JPA into consent. That's all.
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't do that.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so you want to make, let's see, that would be item 6A under consent, so that'd be 5E.
5E.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, any other changes?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add one item, and I don't know exactly where it should be, but it has to do with an official response to a letter to the editor to the White Bear Press.
I would put that under
Discussion?
added agenda items, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Number 9, added agenda item.
All right, anything else? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Item 3 is approval of payment of the bills. You sign off, Steve?
I signed off. Move to approve payment of the bills.
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion carries. Item 4 is the approval of the minutes from April 6th. Anybody have any changes?
I don't.
I saw none. I'll move to approve the minutes from the prior meeting.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Right. 5 is a consent agenda item. We have 5 now. If the board pleases, we can move these right along.
Daryl's up.
I'm good.
Consent?
Yep.
Do you want Daryl to go first?
No, we're going to do them after.
Okay. Sorry.
So I need a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda, 1 through A through E. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. All right. Mr. Lemire, would you like to come on up? Introduce both of you with your name and address for the record.
Yes. Daryl Lemire, 4779 Otter Lake Road, White Bear Lake, Minnesota, not the township.
We'll forgive you.
Yes. I would like to introduce the gentleman with me, Dave Roster and Doug Bender. They are past president and member of our Experimental Aircraft Association chapter at Benson Airport, and they're making a donation to the Wall That Heals. And they just thought they would like to do it here this evening, since it's Township Airport, and the township is where this is going to occur, the Wall That Heals. They're donating $1,000 from their account. That's
Deeply appreciated.
Yes. Thank you.
So if Dave would like to speak, we just want to say thank you for maintaining the airport, and we're thrilled about this. At the wall, for those who don't know, the Wall That Heals is a traveling replica of the Vietnam Veteran Wall in Washington, D.C. It very rarely gets into the state. We're thrilled to have it coming here this summer. Gentlemen.
I'd like to reiterate the thanks for all the help with the airport up there. We're proud to be a part of this to help bring the wall to connect with people, and I think it's going to be a great event.
They did this, it's just kind of a symbolic check.
Will that go on camera there, Patrick?
Bring it up. We'll turn it around to
Yeah,
the
just
cameras.
make sure we get it on camera. Then you're on camera. So we can-
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Stand right there and
How's that? Where's the camera?
It's right up there,
Yep.
right next to the TV.
All right.
Thank you.
She should make.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can, if you can give the check.
You can hand that to me if you'd like. Yep. Yep, Ed and I sit on the Wall That Heals board.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, folks.
It's okay.
Well, I'd also like to give a thanks to the White Bear Lake Historical Society. They really were the driving effort to get this to the township. There's a lot of people bidding for this, and with our help, they actually secured it. So kudos to those folks, too. All right, moving on. We're going to go back to old business. 6A, this is designation of polling locations. Patrick, you can give an overview on this?
Actually, this one's going to go through legal. Chad has been looking into this on our behalf.
One issue is we do have one polling place outside the boundaries of the township. And theoretically, all polling places should be within the boundaries. However, unorganized territories are allowed to have a polling place outside the boundaries if necessary. And while the statute that deals with election law does not define unorganized territories, other sections of the statutes do define unorganized territories as being townships. So even though the election statute refers to cities and towns, it also refers to unorganized townships. Net result being, as far as it's my opinion, that yes, you can have a polling place outside the boundaries of the township.
Is there any reason, Chad, to notify the Secretary of State's office who controls the voting in the state that we're doing this with
Well,
Ramsey
I mean,
counties?
It's my understanding that this polling place has been used for quite a long time. So
Don't want us-
Ramsey County is aware of it,
Ramsey
so,
County's aware of it. They've conducted it for us for years.
yes,
Okay. So the polling places are now set then?
We are set.
yes.
I'm gonna read them for the public.
So that's precinct 1 is Tamarack Nature Center.
Yep.
Precinct 2 is Lakeshore Players Theater. Precinct 3 is South Shore Trinity Lutheran Church. Precinct 4 is Heritage Hall, and Precinct 5 is Tamarack Nature Center. So 1 and 5 are together?
Yep. The two small precincts.
Okay. So we need a formal motion for this?
Yes, please.
That's for the resolution designating polling places?
I'll make a motion. Is this just really reopen where we left, we tabled it the last?
We tabled it the last one, so I would just adopt the resolution as it was presented.
I'll move to adopt the resolution designating polling places for the 2026 general election.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. All right, moving on. We have a couple public hearings here. First is the 5767 Lake Avenue. I'm going to need a motion to waive the reading.
I'll move to waive the reading that it was properly published.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I need a motion to open up the hearing.
I'll move to open up the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, who's going to go on? Andrew, is that you?
Yes, sir. All right, Town Board, before you tonight, you have a variance request for 5767 Lake Avenue. This is the location of an existing legally non-conforming single-family dwelling unit that was constructed in 1931. It is within the R1 Suburban Residential Zoning District and the Shoreland Overlay District. The proposal is is a proposed residential addition to replace the existing attached garage and construct a new garage. A second story is requested and cannot be supported by the existing garage structure. A variance is required to alter or expand a legally non-conforming structure and allow an encroachment into the required front yard setback. This is one of the property owners that did express an interest before the ordinance changed to amend or alter the existing structure. So this is one of those holdover cases that we've been working through. The property is a legally non-conforming lot below the minimum lot area, width, and lot coverage requirements. The primary structure is also considered legally non-conforming due to the front and side yard setback encroachment. The existing structure has two legally non-conforming setbacks, with the side yard setback to the north along the 5771 property at 2.5 feet and the front yard setback at 18.5 feet. The property also contains 35.5% impervious surface coverage. And as you can see here, this is the existing conditions of the property. Here are the proposed conditions of the property, as well as a description of what variances the applicant is requesting. First is the proposed front yard setback variance. The existing setback requirement is 18.5 feet. The applicants are requesting a reduction to 17.9 feet, or 0.6 feet, or 7.2 inches. With the construction and demolition of the existing garage, one of the non-conforming side yard setbacks will be removed, and so the proposed setback for that side yard setback would be 6.3 feet. Can't go below 6 feet, as an undersized lot is allowed up to 60% of the required 10-foot setback. And then the lot coverage was 35.5%. They are reducing that by 0.3% to 35.2. So the variance request is for the reduced setback for the front yard setback, as well as to allow the second story on the legally non-conforming structure. There are 5 criteria that should be used when evaluating variance requests. The first is that the property owner proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by an official control. Staff feels this criteria is met. A single-family dwelling unit is a reasonable use in the R1 zoning district and is permitted. The proposed structure brings one of the existing setbacks into compliance with the R1 standards, reduces the amount of impervious surface on site, and requests a variance to reduce the front yard setback by 0.6 feet or 7.2 inches. Second, the plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property not created by the landowner. Staff feels that this condition is met, or criteria is met, as the existing structure is within the required front yard setback and cannot support a second story in its existing condition, neither of which are circumstances created by the landowner. Third, the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality. Staff feels that this criteria is met as a new addition to a single-family residence. That is a pretty typical permitted use. Fourth, economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Staff feels that this is met. The difficulties are not due to economic considerations, but just the request to just further expand use of the property. And the last criteria is applicable to direct sunlight for solar energy systems, so this criteria is not applicable to the request. 9-6.4 gives the town board criteria that the applicant has to essentially prove that they satisfy before the town board can approve the variance. First is that without the issuance of a variance, the provisions of the ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of this ordinance. As we kind of discussed during the zoning text amendments, multiple properties along Bald Eagle Boulevard and Bald Eagle Lake contain homes on undersized lots that contain primary or accessory structures that do not conform to the setback ordinance. Second is that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. Again, this is just kind of what you see with redevelopment or developing, adding on to properties with, existing legally non-conforming issues. So neither of these have resulted from the actions of the applicant. Third, that granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. You guys have seen some of these come through already. The type of variances that have been granted, this is along those same lines. And so the granting will not confer any special privilege that has been denied to others, and will bring the property into greater conformity by removing one of the non-conforming setbacks and reducing the amount of impervious surface coverage. Fourth is that the proposed action will not unreasonably increase the congestion on public streets. It's a residential addition. They're not expanding the intensity of the property. So staff feels that this is not going to unreasonably increase congestion. Fifth is that the proposed action will not increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety. Staff feels that the new construction addition is utilizing the existing footprint of the current dwelling unit, so there's no proposed risk or increase to the danger of fire or public safety. And then finally, that the proposed actions will not unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the neighborhood or in any other way be contrary to the intent of this ordinance. The proposed action may improve property values by enticing the neighborhood with new construction. And staff sent this out internally to township staff as well as any applicable agencies. The building official requested a grading plan as part of the building permit application to address grading and drainage concerns on the northern side of the property. Public Works, Engineering, and Fire had no comments. DNR did not have any comments. Ramsey County reviewed and did not have any comments. And then the Rice Creek Watershed stated that a permit is not required for the structure and all work are outside the 100-year floodplain elevation. And then if there's proposed disturbance or stockpiling of earth materials which exceed 50 cubic yards or land disturbance activities exceeding 5,000 square feet, a notice of intent is required to implement best management practices. And with that, the town board has the following options for this request: approve the request with or without conditions, deny the request with findings for denial, or table the request for further review and study. Staff and the planning commission on a 6-0 vote gave a positive recommendation to the town board for a variance request for property located at 5767 Lake Avenue, subject to the following conditions. First, that the applicant shall construct the addition according to the plans reviewed with this request, dated February 17th, 2026. Second, or 1A is the structure shall be no less than 17.9 feet from the property line along Lake Avenue, as permitted by ordinance number 35. 1B, the applicant shall provide a grading plan as part of the building permit application. Number 2, the applicant shall acquire all other applicable federal, state, and local permits. The applicant shall adhere to all applicable federal, state, and local ordinance and regulations. And finally, the applicant shall pay all fees and escrows associated with the project. And the applicant is in attendance if you guys would like to hear from him.
Beth, questions, comments?
No, I know exactly what it is. I know what he's doing. No problem.
Steve, you're at the.
I was at the planning commission meeting. I think the questions were all asked and answered. And I think this started an earlier process before our moratorium, as our moratorium was going on, so we were well aware of what was happening. I think it's pretty straightforward. No further questions.
All right, if there's no other questions from the board to staff, I need a motion to open it up for public comment.
I'll move to open the hearing for public comment.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the applicant's here, I believe. Want to come on up, give your name and address?
Hi, Trent Farnham, 5767 Lake Avenue, White Bear Township. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, we've gone around for about a year now on this. I think, yeah, because we're just trying to, well, my 4-year-old is in attendance, so he's one of the reasons why basically it all started with, we want to add an addition to the garage because we have 2 boys and they're only getting bigger. So, and I mean, and also I didn't realize I was going to have this kind of support with me today. This is great. It's really good. So,
Well,
yeah. I mean, you have any questions for me, or I mean?
No, but I know the process will slow down a little because we've been reviewing our ordinances, and we appreciate you guys' patience with working with us till we get this somewhat resolved, so.
I actually think I was here probably during the moratorium or right before it or something like that. And I just asked you like, hey, what do I need to do about this? And I feel like we're finally at the end of the road here. So it's been slow, it's been deliberate, but I think it's been worth it. So
Sometimes government moves at a snail's pace.
I work for the government, I'm well aware.
Steve, you any questions of the applicant?
I do not.
Beth?
No.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
Is there anyone else that wish to speak to this? I know you have really interested students here. Hearing none, going once, going twice. All right, I need a motion to close the public portion.
I'll move to close the public portion of the comments.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. What's the board's pleasure?
Based on this planning commission's review and staff recommendations, I move to approve the
The resolution?
resolution.
Is that 2620, is that the resolution
Wasn't that
number?
the 5767? Oh, this one here up here. Sorry.
Approve the resolution approving a variance for 67 Lake Avenue, which is variance number 26-20. My computer's acting up, so I have to borrow his.
All right, motion's
I'll
made
second.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're on your way, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Right.
TJ. I'll follow up with you on the next steps.
All right, next we have another public hearing. This is 5750 Outer Lake Road. Again, I need a motion to waive the reading.
I'll move to waive the reading that was properly covered.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Then I need a motion to open up the hearing.
I'll move to open up the hearing.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You again, Andrew?
Yes, sir. Town Board, before you, you have an amendment to an existing conditional use permit for 5750 Otter Lake Road, also known as Bald Eagle / Otter Lake Regional Park. This is the location of the existing Bald Eagle Otter Lake Regional Park and subject of an existing conditional use permit since 2004. The site consists of multiple parcels within the township, as well as parking, a boat ramp, bathroom, and an existing off-leash dog area. This is part of the open space zoning district and within the shoreline overlay district. The conditional use permit was amended in 2011 and most recently in 2023 to accommodate the phase 1 improvements. And prior conditions of approval from each of the CP amendments have incorporated the previous comments and conditions of approval into each subsequent approval. And phase 1 also had language just requiring that these improvements, which are mostly infrastructure related, to go through a modified amended CUP, just like the others have. Conditional use permits are subject to Ordinance 35 9-4. The Planning Commission reviewed the application at the March 26, 2026 meeting and gave a positive recommendation, 6-0. Town Board can consider the application at a public hearing. The current amendment request allows for phase 2 improvements such as adding an accessible trail to the north end of the site to complete the major walking loop around the perimeter. The trails are going to be constructed with 3/8 minus crushed and compacted limestone trails developed to no net fill within 100-year flood elevations within the park. The trails were placed where existing walkways and compaction are located to minimize grading, environmental impacts, and disturbances. Disturbed trail edges will be restored with low-maintenance turf. And then other improvements include a seasonal water line from the existing restroom via a drinking fountain for the off-leash dog park, and then ADA accessible seating. Off-leash dog park areas are allowed as a conditional use within the open space zoning district, and the park has an existing CUP for the current off-leash dog area that is being amended as part of this request. The zoning district does not have standards for off-leash dog area uses or the open space zoning district as a whole. As a conditional use, the amended CUP will incorporate prior conditions of approval adopted by reference. And this just kind of shows the proposed completion of the walking trail along with some of their other improvements. It might be a little hard to see from up there. There are several criteria that conditional use permits have to meet before staff and the town board can recommend approval. First is that the proposed use shall be planned, designed, and constructed and maintained to avoid unnecessary detraction from the appearance of adjacent properties or from the town as a whole, aesthetic, rural, traffic pattern incompatibility, damage to vegetation, erosion of soil, unnecessary loss of existing natural features, and increased flood potential. Staff feels that staff states that the proposed request would enhance and improve an existing use upon the site and has been designed to prevent these issues. The applicant has worked to reduce the number of trees being removed in the project, but also intends to keep the trails in the existing locations to cause less overall site disturbance. The applicant proposes removing 15 existing trees and intends to coordinate with the township and volunteer groups to locate the replacement trees on site, likely at the southern end of the property. Second is that the proposed use shall meet all reasonable requirements set forth by the town board in order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the town. Uses proposed for open space districts shall provide for a level of police protection and civilian supervision as set forth by the town board to ensure supervision and maintenance of said districts. Staff feels that the conditions are recommended to ensure that the project does not negatively impact the health, safety, and welfare of the town. Third is not applicable as there's no proposed handling or storage of flammable or explosive materials taking place. Fourth, the proposed use shall bear the cost of all additional WAC, water availability charges pursuant to ordinance number 12, and sewer availability SAC charges pursuant to ordinance number 36, where the proposed use expands upon a pre-existing use. As a condition of approval, the applicant is responsible for the cost of all additional WAC and SAC charges for any additional water and sewer improvements. Fifth, the proposed use shall not result in the destruction, loss, or damage of a natural, scenic, environmental, or historic feature of the town. Proposed use is established in utilizing an existing site and would not result in the destruction, loss, or damage of a natural, scenic, environmental, or historic feature of the town. The applicant is trying to minimize any additional footprint and work within the confines of the existing trails and compaction, and has intended to locate the replacement trees with the help of those volunteer groups and township staff. Sixth, the proposed use shall not depreciate the value of adjacent properties. There's no evidence the project, if approved, would depreciate the value of adjacent properties. Parks in particular are, one of the things that people move to places for. So park improvements, usually are good for adjacent property owners. Seventh, that the proposed site shall be sited, oriented, designed, landscaped, and maintained to produce a harmonious relationship of buildings and grounds to adjacent buildings and properties. The proposed work is compatible with the existing uses and development of the park. The current park appears to be compatible with the neighboring properties, and said compatibility does not appear to be lost through the proposed improvements. As I mentioned before, these are mostly infrastructure-related improvements. There are no structures being proposed. Eighth, the proposed use shall organize vehicular access and parking to minimize traffic congestion to adjacent properties. The existing site has on-site parking facilities to serve the proposed use, and they're not expecting, this is phase 2 of the project. There's no anticipated expansion of the existing use of the park. Ninth, the proposed use shall preserve and incorporate the site's natural and scenic features in the development design. The proposed work, like I said, has tried to work within the existing footprint and has several project constraints that are have kind of defined how this project moves forward. So there's no anticipated negative impact to the natural features. The proposed use shall have no negative impact of noise, glare, or odor effects on adjacent properties. Staff feels that this criteria has been met. And then finally, the proposed use shall preserve the objectives of this ordinance and be consistent with the policy and plan recommendations of the comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, this is a open space zone district. The purpose of the district is, for passive, open space park uses. And so the proposed project is consistent with the objectives of this district and as well as the goals and policies of the Parks and Open Space Plan chapter of the comprehensive plan. And staff sent this to internal staff and then external agencies. The building official had a few comments. First is that an application for the plumbing permit and utility plan showing a backflow prevention and design fixture data sheets, if applicable, are required. Second, that prior to construction commencement, an application for a stormwater permit must be submitted with the most current stormwater pollution prevention plan and escrow agreement as a condition of approval. Public Works, Engineering, and Fire had no concerns. DNR reviewed this application and stated that the project is in a Zone AE General Floodplain District. And so the land specifically above the ordinary high water line is considered flood fringe, while the areas below the ordinary high water line are floodway. As a condition of approval, all floodplain development, including the proposed benches, must be designed and adequately anchored to prevent flotation, constructed with flood damage resistant materials, and be reasonably safe from flooding and consistent with the need to minimize flood damage. The county is, the project proponent of this. Their Public Works Department reviewed it and does not have any comments or concerns. And then the Rice Creek Watershed Organization reviewed the application and had comments. A Rule D erosion and sediment control and Rule E floodplain alteration permit are required. due to the trails being within a 100-year flood water elevation line. And then the county is required to demonstrate a no net fill design within this area through a post-construction survey within the floodplain to prove that the project did not fill within this elevation. If the survey shows otherwise, then the county will be required to mitigate within the floodplain to accomplish no net fill as a condition of approval. The town board has the following options for this request: approve the request with or without conditions, deny the request with findings for denial, or table the request for further review and study. Staff and the Planning Commission give a positive recommendation to the amendment to the conditional use permit amended on January 18th, 2023 for the property located at 5750 Otter Lake Road to the town board with the conditions attached to your packet. And I have the applicant here as well, in case you have any questions.
Steve, questions, comments?
I have none because I sat through the planning commission hearing on this, and there were plenty of questions asked as it went along the process, so I'm
I
comfortable.
do. You talked about the 15 trees on the south end of the park. It's not that evergreen grove, is it?
Let me see if I can pull it up.
If you go to the picture, you can see it's right at the bottom. And that's the south end of the park.
Let's see if I can zoom in a little more.
Page 65 of 159 is the one that's got the picture.
Let me pull up the packet instead. Page 65.
65, yep, of 159, and it's got the TKDA emblem on the bottom. There you go. You're getting there. Keep going. There you go. See where the green is? That's the south end of the park. Are those the trees you're talking about?
No, the trees that I'm talking about are largely along where, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Benjamin, but I believe it's where the northern trail is being completed. But the replacement trees are going to be laid south just so that they can avoid further compaction or soil disturbance.
I was going to stick up for the big green ones if they were. All right, I'm fine with it because I know the park very well.
I got?
I'm good.
All right, hearing no other questions from the board, I need a motion to open up for public comment.
I'll move to open the hearing up for public comment.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. The applicant want to come on up, name and address for the record?
Yeah, Benjamin Karp. I'm a landscape architect and project manager for Ramsey County Parks and Recreation. We're located at 2015 Van Dyke Street in Maplewood, Minnesota.
Are any of the hours going to change?
No park hours or rules are changing due to these improvements.
And what's your timeline?
For construction,
Yeah.
we hope to be in construction by June is what we're going for. We're
So
shooting
you
for.
probably picked a good time because Otter Lake Road's going to be closed going north.
Probably.
Yeah. To address Supervisor Artner's concern, was she correct on where those trees are going to be removed from?
The trees are going to be removed primarily on the north end of the site. That evergreen grove, we are not removing any of those evergreens. The placement of the trees will probably be more to the south of the site where it's a little more open. They'll get more sunlight. They can be away from trails and compaction from people and dogs. And we're going to locate those with the help of the community volunteer group and township staff if they wish to be involved with the siting of those trees.
And the park will remain open during this whole process?
The park will be closed for construction.
So you're talking from June to when?
For this park, I would think that construction with good weather should take no more than a couple of weeks. It's not a
Okay.
hard construction. It's a little bit of excavation and then laying 6 inches of base with 3 inches of the compacted limestone and compacting it. And then bringing in the new not temporary, but seasonal water line, which should go pretty quick.
So are you going to post this on your guys' website? Should
Yes,
we
it
also
will
have
be
this
posted on our website.
Patrick,
Sorry, I'm looking it up right now. What's
the
that?
closing time?
The signage.
I think it's
closing.
just sundown.
No, we're talking about,
For construction.
I'm trying to look it up right here, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It will be posted on our website, and we'll
Put
also have
up
signs.
at the park. Okay.
Signs at the park as well, yes.
Okay.
We're doing improvements at all 3 of our regional facilities. So we're also letting the public know, if you want to go to a larger dog park, here's the closest one from here, will probably be Rice Creek, Battle Creek, and they won't be closed at the same time. We're going to do one regional park. Once construction is completed there, we'll move to the next and the next.
I was going to say, I would recommend we put it on our social media, Facebook page that we do for our stuff, plus maybe a link on the town page, township page.
Only because we do have people actually travel quite a ways for that park, so I don't want to see anybody inconvenienced, especially with all the construction going on over there, so.
Yeah, we'd be happy to work with
So
townships.
as much as we can to get it out in the open, when the exact dates of closing, so. We
Andrew,
appreciate
I can
that.
be your contact on that. Whatever information you got coming through, please get on to us, or we'll be the first ones to hear about it.
Sounds good.
You put a warning up so they know that it's coming?
We can do that.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, the sign in the park when you go.
We'll probably put a sign up. I believe we have one more permit through the city of Maplewood for Battle Creek Park, which is supposed to close their public comment on May 7th, I want to say. Once we have that final one, we'll be updating our website, putting signs up at the park with an anticipated construction timeline. And once we get bids back, then we'd put an actual construction timeline up as well.
All right, any other questions? No, Ben?
I'm good.
All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. All right, anyone else wish to speak to this? Hearing none. I need a motion to close the public portion.
I'll move to close the public portion of the hearing.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, we're looking for, to adopt the resolution approving the amendment to conditional use permit.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution approving an amendment to a conditional use permit for 5750 Otter Lake Road, identified as resolution number 26-21.
A second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. All right, moving on, under, let's see, 8A we took care of, so 8B, this is the improvements for Andrea Lane area. That you, Larry?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Town Board. You've seen the Annerly Lane area project go before you several times. The last time, I think, was in January, where we held the public hearing and authorized the preparation of plans and specifications. The Annerly Lane project includes Annerly Lane from Conroe Road H2 to Pleasant Court, Reed Place, Ross Lane, Berry Lane, La Valley Court, Parker Avenue, and Mill Street. The plans are now complete, and we're ready to move on to the next step, which is the bidding process for the project. We held a neighborhood meeting several weeks ago. It was pretty well attended from a variety of the streets, and we got good representation from those streets, or good comments that we've now incorporated into the plans that are before you tonight. So we're looking to hold the, advertise for bids and have the bid opening on May 13th, 2026, where we will get that pricing for the project, and we bring those bids back to you on May 20th. So the actions tonight are, we're looking to approve the plans and specifications for the project, and then a second resolution authorizing bidding for the Anderley Lane area street improvement project. With that, I can answer any of your questions.
Beth?
None.
Steve?
Really, no questions, because we've seen this so many times getting up to this point. Final clarification is, once those bids are received and opened, then it's to the board to decide if they want to fund the project
Correct.
based on the costs. Okay, that's it.
Any idea what the market's bearing now, or is it still too soon?
We've heard some, it hasn't really changed too much. We think our cost estimate is in line, if not a little high at this point.
All right, hearing no other questions of the board, let's see, you want these in two separate resolutions, correct?
Yes.
So the first is motion for plans and specs.
I'll move to adopt resolution approving plans and specifications for improvement 2025-2 Anderley Lane area.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Then the second one is the advertisement for bids.
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution or authorizing advertisement for bids for project 2025-2 Anderley Lane area.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that motion carries. All right, then the next one is we have the Bloom Edition area.
Yes, thank you. The second project before you tonight is the Bloom Addition Area Street Improvements Project. This is a different type of project, a mill and overlay project for Bloom Road, Morgan Trail, Martilla Court, Saxony Court, and Border Pine Court. This has existing concrete curb and gutter that will remain in place, other than damaged sections would be replaced. On this project, we've had discussion about Martilla Court and the removal of the cul-de-sac island. We did have a neighborhood meeting, and all those that attended were from Bertilla Court, and we discussed the cul-de-sac island and coordination for materials to be moved out of there. And then we also had received some comments from them on some drainage as well. So this project is again also going to be bid for May 13th for a bid opening and be brought to you on May 20th for approval of those bids. And so again, we're looking for those same types of resolutions tonight, approving the plans and specifications, and then authorizing the bidding for the project.
So a question I'll ask, you said several of the people were there for the cul-de-sac island. They understood the reason why that you need to have that taken
Yes.
out, and you're
Yep.
okay with it? Overall?
Okay with it, accepting of it, I would say.
Okay. Are they going to be able to remove some of the trees and shrubbery that are there? And
Yes, we talked about that, and we talked about a large boulder that we would have the contractor move.
Okay. With that,
Anything else? They're gonna put the boulder someplace on site or take it away?
Yeah, we're gonna work with the neighborhood on a proper location for that.
Okay,
They were discussing a proper location at the neighborhood meeting, and they couldn't come to a consensus at the time,
Are
so.
they going to have a contest and name it?
big boulder.
Rocky.
Rocky. All right, any other questions?
No.
All right, again, we need two separate motions for this.
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution approving plans and specifications for improvement 2025-4, which is the Bloom Addition area.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries.
Resolution for it.
Now we need the second one for advertisement for bids.
I'll adopt a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing advertisement for bids for improvement 2025-4 Bloom Addition area.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. All right, that concludes our regular agenda. We have this one added agenda item. Steve, you want to take the lead on
Yes,
this?
Mr. Chair, a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, the city put a notice in the paper about a dispute that they have with the township. The township provided a written response to the White Bear Press, and there was a letter to the editor that was
Approved
recent.
by the town clerk.
Okay, that's not the point. The point is that there was a letter to the editor in this last edition of the White Bear Press that I think the town board as an entity needs to respond to, and I'm requesting that we have our administrator send a copy of our written response that we provided to the White Bear Press on White Bear Township letterhead, expressing that it is, I'll speak for myself, but I'd prefer the board to agree with this, that we have this presented to the Town Home Association of the person that put the article in there, stating no more, no less than what our position has to do with the issues with White Bear Lake.
And that's literally the 10-point bullet points that we.
Yes.
Correct.
And just so you know, I did actually speak with the president and basically reiterated, told him where he could find that information. And if you wanted a copy of the contract, we'd be happy to provide it, correct?
Okay.
But he seemed quite satisfied. He was extremely, and I've got all that information for you, I can pass it on.
Beautiful.
And the main purpose is because people read that article and they don't read everything else all the time, and it's important that the homeowners association, which she stated how many members were residents, and I think they need to know what our official response is.
Okay, I can do that.
That's what I'd like the board to agree to.
All right, do we need an official motion on that?
No, just direct staff.
Okay. All right, they got the hint, Steve.
So you're going to direct them?
Yeah.
I'll move to have the board direct the staff to do that, as we discussed, letter to the Town Home Association.
I'll second.
All right, motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 10 is open time. We have a room full. Somebody's going to want to say something. Nope.
No?
Nobody?
All right, moving on, number 11, I need a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I need a motion to adjourn at 7:45.
So moved.
Thank you, board.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
You guys got lucky, 45 minutes.
So